Hey everybody, and welcome to the long-awaited 24-hour movie marathon 8. So, a little story behind this. Today, it is actually August 15th, 2020. I filmed this actual marathon in March of 2019. Yeah. It has been what I like to call the greatest procrastination I have ever done on my channel. Anyways, the video finally decided to go ahead and just do it and motivate myself to do it. I don't know why I was taking forever, but yeah, I did. With that said, so much time has gone by, some of my original ideas have failed in terms of during the marathon. There's times where I'm like, oh, well, later I'll film something talking more about this movie. Never did do that kind of stuff, but I pretty much talk about every movie except for the end. The footage that I filmed for my last segment was deleted at some point. So for the last film, which was Isle of Dogs, the Wes Anderson movie, was my stop motion guideline. There is no footage of that. I just say I'm going to watch it and then that's it. So real quick, the guidelines for this year that I did this was, number 1, watch a film you've been putting off. Number 2, watch a film in your least favorite genre. Number 3, watch a biopic or a film based on a true story. Number 4, watch a film with a 5% or less on Rotten Tomatoes. Number 5, watch a stop-motion animated film. 6, watch a documentary. 7, watch a film 170 minutes or longer. And number 8, watch a classic you've never seen. So those are what guidelines I use in this video. I have since, about a year ago, put out not a year ago, it's been a while since I put out the guidelines and stuff for this year. So I got to do this year's marathon still. But that is why I'm calling this marathon 24-hour movie marathon year 8, a 2019 Ryan Chattaway procrastination. Hey everybody, and welcome to year 8, 24-hour movie marathon challenge. So, I already did kind of an intro talking about all the guidelines and all that kind of stuff, so I'm going to go ahead and jump right into it. Today, it is 10:15 Sunday night, and I'm starting my 24-hour movie marathon. I'm doing it a little bit different this year. I'm starting tonight. May or may not stay up all night. We'll wake up in the morning and continue on the whole entire day and stay up late that night to finish whatever I need to finish. And if I need to, I'll wake up on Tuesday and do some more. I gotta break it up this year just a little bit, just because of my own sanity. I got really sick last year staying up all that time, and I started getting really sick the year before. I don't want that to happen again. I want to enjoy the films. So if I stay up all night tonight, great. If not, I'm not going to put the pressure on myself to do that. It's all about having fun and doing the marathon. So first up, I am knocking out my 3-hour plus film. As you guys know, I always go kind of crazy with those films, and I always do like mini series or something too. Like I did Das Boat and some other things in the past that technically are considered mini series. That's okay because that's still a film, in my opinion. So tonight, I am starting with Angels in America, written by Tony Kushner based on his play, directed by Mike Nichols of The Graduate and many of other things, starring Al Pacino. This came out, I think, 2003. So I'm going to watch half of it tonight, and I'm going to finish the marathon with the second half. So let's dive right into this, shall we? All right, everybody. Good morning. So, last night I watched 4 episodes, or should I say 4 hours of Angels in America, and holy crap, it is so good. I'm gonna give my thoughts on everything and talk about it when I finish it, which is going to be at the end of the marathon. But it's some powerful stuff. So I was originally only going to watch 3 hours of it, but I ended up watching four, and I would have gone more, but I had to get some sleep. So it's a little after 8 now. Been up for a little while. I took a shower, did a few things. Now I'm going to watch a film that is based on a true story or is a biopic. This one is Spike Lee's Black Klansman. I wanted to see this last year. I'm a Spike Lee fan. I feel like when he really hits the mark, he really hits it. And, he doesn't always make great movies, but when he does, it's right on. He hits it. And so that's what I'm going to watch for my movie based on a true story. So. All right, everybody. Well, I just finished Black Klansman. I had some issues with because I ordered it off my Comcast and it kept like there was like a emergency thing on the TV, like a warning, and it kept pushing me out every time that emergency would come up. It was like an Amber Alert or something, and I kept going back into it. And I think it was charging me every time I went back into it, so I had to call Comcast and make sure, and they took care of it. But wow. Yep. Spike Lee returned to form. Love Do the Right Thing, Malcolm X, a bunch of other films that he's done, Summer of Sam. And I was really glad to see this movie finally. And I was glad to see like everybody involved with it. It was a great film. And I tried to go into it like as blind as I could. I didn't know any of the story behind it, none of that kind of stuff in terms of the plot. So I went in pretty fresh, and wow, it's pretty real stuff. And I think I'm gonna probably come back to it in this video because my brain is still kind of comprehending what I just watched, and so I think that's what I'm gonna do. So I was able to think about Black Klansman a little bit more, and it's really, it's kind of a controversial topic, like to bring up in a video, but you know, there's a lot of that same kind of crap happening today, and you see it, and I don't want to give spoilers for the movie, but anyways, racism and injustice is in our society today, and it's running rampant. I think I might have to do an actual separate video on this, but overall, it was a great movie. It was powerful, dramatic, but it also had some lighthearted banter and stuff like that between, Adam Driver's character and what's his name, John Washington. I know he's Denzel's son, and he's an actor as well. Is it John something Washington? I'll get it right one day. So it wasn't completely depressing and like crazy the entire time. It had some lighthearted bits, but it was very revealing too in terms of how society was back then. I didn't grow up during that time period, but obviously there's probably some fictionalized stuff in the movie, but for the most part, a lot of the way people acted was actually the truth. And it's just, I cannot stand it. I can't stand any kind of like prejudice whatsoever. And I'm just glad I didn't grow up in that era. But I'm really glad Spike Lee tackled this movie because I've always liked Spike Lee. He's very outspoken in what stuff that he believes and everything like that too. He makes a lot of people mad, but this movie to me is like him putting for the past 10 years putting his money where his mouth is, to where not only is he spouting off all this stuff, which some of it I agree with, but he's actually doing what he does and putting his message into a film and putting it out there at high quality, and that's amazing. He did exactly what I hoped he was going to do, because even though like I agree with a lot of stuff he says, I'm like, man, I just wish he could put this into a movie, because I feel like it'll speak to even more people, because there's a lot of people that try to write him off and just say, he's a racist and all that kind of stuff, and it makes me so angry. So I was like, oh man, I can't wait till he comes out with a movie that he's able to speak what he feels and finally win his Oscar, that kind of thing. And yeah, it was a great film. Adam Driver continues to blow me away. Like, I've always liked Adam Driver. I just recently rewatched Silence, and of course him being in The Last Jedi last year. The year before. Wow, it's been that long now. He's just such a great actor and such a powerful presence. He has like a subtlety to him, and it's awesome. So, next up, I decided to change it up in terms of the movie I was going to watch next. I was going to watch that movie. This is going to be for the movie with a 5% or lower on Rotten Tomatoes. I was going to watch the movie Dark Crimes with Jim Carrey, but I really don't feel like watching as I was looking at some of the reviews, and a lot of people said it was just dark and boring, and I love depressing movies, but I really don't feel like incorporating that kind of a movie into my marathon. That's terrible. So, which what I hear is terrible. So I'm switching it up, and I'm going with a so-called equally as terrible movie, and that is Gotti with John Travolta, and that has a 0% on Rotten Tomatoes. So that's what I'm going to be watching next. This is happening. Okay, so I'm 5 minutes in Gotti. What I don't want to do is watch this film and just talk crap about it the whole time. I want to see if I could try to find something good about it. Because even though it's a low-scoring movie, I really want to give it a chance. And just hating on it because everybody else does. But this opens up with with John Travolta as Gotti turning around and starts talking to the camera. Whew. Kind of cringy.
Two ways, dead or in jail. I did both.
Well, it's close to noon now. The movie's still on. Ooh. I'll tell you more about it when it's over, because I don't want to judge it until it's over, but it's going to make me something to eat. I don't really eat these things, but I picked one up. California Pizza Kitchen barbecue chicken pizza. I was going to get a huge one, but then I was like, you know what? This will be fine. Okay, so that movie's over. Whew. It was really pretty bad. The acting was over the top. It just didn't really have any focus. Really, the first half of the movie did not have a focus whatsoever. It was all jumping from year to year, this and that, and it didn't really have, like I said, a focus or any kind of plot per se. It was a bunch of random stuff, events in Gotti's life, and you couple the confusion of that with the terrible... Even though I like John Travolta, he has that kind of persona nowadays. He's not the greatest actor, and he's not good in this movie, but he was really the only thing that made this movie watchable, I guess you could say. And it's laughably bad. I guess I could say there was probably a 15-minute stretch that I think are actually entertaining, and it's after basically Gotti orders the hit of the boss at the time, and it's the hit and then some of the stuff going on after the hit, and then a little trial that happens right after that. There's like 15 minutes to where, even though it's still, the acting's bad, the music is completely out of place. That's the only, because it kind of followed like a narrative structure, and it was entertaining. And the best way I could say that this movie, it's easy to say, oh, it's trying to be a Scorsese movie. It's trying to do this. It's trying to do that. It's hitting all the cliches and all that stuff. The best thing, what I can say, it's like if Lonely Island, like Andy Samberg and the other guys, like if they made a movie that was trying to be like Casino or Goodfellas, really cheesy, really over the top. The thing is that John Travolta said, forget about it, like a million times, like a gazillion times. And he kept doing this thing to where, like, every time he was talking about the Cosa Nostra, the Sicilian mafia, he was talking normal, and all of a sudden he'd go, oh, the Cosa Nostra, blah, blah. Like, he started acting like he was Sicilian. And I don't know if that's just his acting or what, but it was pretty badly acted, and the music is just so out of place. So that 15-minute stretch, I was like, okay, if the whole movie was that 15-minute stretch, I would say, like, a very flawed movie, but still entertaining, and, kind of had some fun little things about it. But there was so much boredom in the first half and so much weirdness in the second half because you're following the story how Gotti is telling it to us. But then, the movie covers like his death and everything, but even after his death, he's still narrating the movie, and you still see him like narrating, breaking the fourth wall. Like, it's so weird. And anyways, it was definitely a very entertaining watch. So I have no idea what I'm going to watch next, but I'll let you know in a second. Alright, decided to watch another episode, number 5 of Angels in America. Alrighty, well, I have 1 hour left of Angels in America. 1 hour left. I'm interested to see how it's all going to wrap up. Going to do some chores and stuff, and then a little bit later, me and my wife are going to watch some movies together. This marathon's coming pretty good.
Water?
What? No road? Just wants a bit of...
Alright, so, as you guys noticed, I showed clips of some movies that I watched. I was on vacation last week, and I'm off this week. My wife was off last week. Today was her first day back at work. So when she got home, I didn't want to do all this filming and stuff like that. I just wanted her to just be able to relax and all that kind of stuff. But we did watch some movies to knock off the guideline, as you saw. So the first one was a classic that I'd never seen. I was going to pick The Postman Always Rings Twice, but I'm in the. Oh, yeah. Took a break from watching movies and watching some Red Sox spring training against the Cubs. And I'm in the middle of reading that book, and I haven't finished it yet. It's very short. I only have like 20 more pages to go. So I was like, you know what? I've had this movie for a while. I've always been wanting to see it, and I just never saw it. And it is Support Your Local Sheriff with James Gardner, Joan Hackett, Walter Brennan, and Harry Morgan, who is, being a big MASH fan, he's like one of my favorite character actors. Every time he pops up in like a Western, I love the guy. And I've always liked James Gardner and Walter Brennan. But so when the movie started, I knew it was a comedy. But when the movie started, I was like, oh, this is kind of really cheesy. Like the music and everything. But man, it was so damn funny. It was so freaking hilarious to me. And it's so short and to the point. It's like only an hour and a half. Came out in 1968. And so basically James Gardner plays a guy. It doesn't really give any backstory about his character, but he's just drifting through this town. And he's trying to, like he says a million times in the movie, he's trying to make his way to Australia. That's not exactly what he says, but he always says that all the time. And he knows that this town that he's stopping in has gold. And so he kind of takes the job as the sheriff because they can't keep a sheriff because all the gunslingers and criminals in the town keep running them off. One of the families is Walter Brennan's character, and one of his sons is Bruce Dern. And, they keep running the sheriffs out of the town. And so he takes the job as the sheriff, and he's an excellent marksman. I mean, he could, and people are like, why haven't we heard of you? And he's like, I don't know, I just do my thing. And it's so hilarious, like some of the stuff that he does. And there's a really, really funny line has stuck with me. It's Harry Morgan and James Gardner talking, and Harry Morgan's the mayor of the town, and he hands James Gardner the badge, the sheriff's badge, and there's like a bullet like thing in it, or like a bullet mark from, and James Gardner's like, man, it looks like that bullet was blocked by the shield or by the badge. It saved his life. And Harry Morgan, and if you know MASH, you know Harry Morgan. He speaks with this kind of like a southern drawl, a little bit, not quite. He's very unique in how he talks, and he's like, yeah, it would have saved his life if all the other bullets hadn't hit him. And it was so damn funny. And the movie is just filled with lines like that. Now, there's actually a second one by the same director, writer, and has some of the same cast, but it's not a sequel. It's unrelated, but it's Support Your Local Gunfighter, which I plan on watching eventually, because apparently it's a parody and slightly loose remake parody of Fistful of Dollars, aka Yojimbo. Well, Fistful of Dollars is also like a remake of Yojimbo, so much so that Kurosawa sued United Artists and said basically, you got to give us credit because you're basically copying our movie. That's a whole another story, but so Support Your Local Sheriff was hilarious, and I cannot wait to watch this again one day. I don't think there's a Blu-ray release of it out, and I think this DVD is out of print, because this DVD I saw on Amazon new for like $79. That's crazy. But maybe that means we're getting some good Blu-ray releases of it soon. And then, so the guideline of watching a movie or picking a movie from a genre that's my least favorite, that's really hard to decide because I pretty much like all genres. And so I was like, you know what? I am a musical fan. I love Singing in the Rain. I like musicals. And I wanted to kind of go further into my liking of musicals. And I was like, you know what? I haven't really watched a lot of Disney live action musicals a lot. And I'm talking about the classics, not the new ones. And I realized that I had not seen Mary Poppins since I was like 6 years old, and I barely remember, other than the famous scenes of the movie that I know of, I barely remembered it. So tonight we watched Mary Poppins, and I loved it. You know, it was so ahead of its time in terms of technology and stuff. And some people say maybe it's a little bit too long, and I've heard that argument. And even like when I was watching it, some of the fantasy animated sequences, I was like, yeah, this is kind of, it slows it a little bit. But then I was like, you know what? That's this movie. You're supposed to have fun with it, and I changed my way of thinking, and I enjoyed every frame to the end. And some of the stuff I remembered from when I was a kid, but overall, I really, really enjoyed it. And there's a lot of themes in it in regards to, like, Mr. Banks, and even how Mary Poppins is, that I can relate to as an adult. And you don't really see that kind of stuff when you're a kid, like how Mrs. Banks is like big on women's rights and trying to get women to vote. And as a kid, I always thought she was kind of like annoying. She was kind of like an annoying character. But then when you actually, as an adult, I'm looking at it and I'm like, oh, she's actually a pretty good, mature woman character. And, it's just how her voices and stuff like that, that I guess people have always said that that's what made her kind of annoying and sounded like she was dumb when she really isn't. And I didn't have a problem with her voice or anything either. But yeah, I love the movie. Now I could finally see Mary Poppins Returns. My wife and everybody's been begging me to see it. Now I can finally see it. So next up, I'm going to watch the last segment of Angels in America. And I might not, I might do like a quick like summing up of it during or when I'm finished, but I have a feeling I'm going to want to think about it. And then I'll go over it later. But for those of you, I don't know if I mentioned it before, but for those of you who don't know, Tony Kushner wrote the play Angels in America, and basically it is a mosaic. I guess that's what I can say, a mosaic of different people who live in the same area, and they're all dealing with their own situations. Al Pacino plays Roy Cohn, who was a real person, and he has AIDS, and he's not admitting, that he's gay and all this kind of stuff. And so you're seeing his character. Then you have Patrick Wilson's character, who's married to, gosh, what is her name? I completely blanked on her name. Something Louise Parker. What is her first name? She was in The West Wing. She was in Weed. She's been in a lot of stuff. But, he is like a staunch right-wing guy, and he's married to her, but they don't really have a relationship in terms of like sexual. And it turns out he's actually gay. She is kind of mentally unstable. She has anxiety, so she takes pills a lot. And so there's a fantasy element to the play, and she sees, I guess you could say, angels and ghosts and stuff. And basically they tell her, like, oh, your husband's gay, that kind of thing. And so that's them going through their thing. And then there's another set of characters who, one guy's dealing with AIDS, and it's how everybody connects in this in this life, or in the life that they have. And they all have like respective angels that appear to them through their whatever they're going through. And it is some powerful, powerful, powerful stuff. It's really heavy on, the AIDS epidemic, and then like the stereotypes of being gay and how people have been treated and all that kind of stuff. And it's heartbreaking. And Tony Kushner has done a phenomenal job, of bringing these characters to life. Al Pacino gives a phenomenal performance. Meryl Streep, Emma Thompson, James Cromwell's in it. Jeffrey Wright. Jeffrey Wright actually won a Tony for his performance in the play, and then he went into the movie, and he won. I don't know if he won. I think he won the Emmy. I know Al Pacino won the Emmy, and other people did too. But It's just, and so that this was my sum up. Now, my actual feelings with the conclusion, I'll probably touch on later, but I did really want to talk about this because it's such a powerful story and how everything comes together. So I'm going to sit down and watch the last bit of it and then figure out what I'm going to watch next. All right? Okay, so I finished Angels in America. Whew. Talk about a monumental achievement. It was great. Very thought-provoking about living life every day and making the best of every day that you have. Such a great film. Good morning, everybody. So this morning I woke up and it is time to watch a film I've been putting off. And it's not that I've been putting it off because I haven't wanted to watch it. I've been putting it off because I've been waiting just for the right time. And the marathon is finally at the right time. By cinema's greatest minds, and actually was released some years after his death. It had a pretty rough production. What am I talking about? I'm talking about Orson Welles' film The Other Side of the Wind, which is on Netflix, and he filmed it like a bunch through sorry. He filmed it a lot through 1970, 1976, and was dealing with a bunch of legal issues, money, a bunch of things, and he just didn't end up doing it. And so with everything that was filmed, I mean, I guess it was completely filmed. I watched the documentary on it. I just forgot some stuff. Oh, let me make sure it's muted. But it's been released through Netflix, and I'm really looking forward to watching it. So, yes, this is The Other Side of the Wind as a film that I've been putting off. Alright, so I just finished The Other Side of the Wind, and man, it was incredible. Basically, it's a pseudo documentary, so it's like a mockumentary, because it's not funny. It's a fake documentary, and it's a group of people following a legendary filmmaker played by John Huston, and it's on the day of his birthday. And so there's a bunch of press and everything, everybody following him, and everybody's talking about this film that he's making. Is it gonna be a disaster or whatnot? And basically it alternates between like different characters, and during this you're actually seeing the film that he made, and it's like intercut with the movie, and overall it kind of like is a great contrast to like what you're actually watching. But phenomenal movie. Really kind of like insane. It's like really, it's edited flawlessly, but it's so, I don't even know how to explain it, like hyperactive, and it looks like it's like the editing that would be like in like an Oliver Stone, like maybe like a JFK kind of thing, like, and it's just so incredible that this was the kind of editing that Orson Welles had started doing in the 70s. And it's just sad that the film never actually came out, like, in a theatrical release, especially like when he was alive. But, you know, it starts out, the first clip is of John Huston's character's car crash. And so you know that he dies, and that is apparently you're told that that's the last day. You're actually going to see the last day of his life. So it's kind of all that kind of stuff. And they're doing yard work outside. It's kind of like an 8.5 kind of feel, but completely different at the same time. But it's incredible. I'm definitely looking forward to watching it again one day. Next up, so I have 2 more categories left, but I'm actually waiting until like my wife gets home from work to do these categories. And so I want to watch something just to kind of, that's not a guideline that I've been wanting to watch or rewatch lately. And it is Apollo 13. So that's what I'm going to watch. I've been wanting to rewatch this for a while now. And I'm really bummed out when I realized I didn't have the Blu-ray of it, but it's on Netflix. So, and I really wish it was the Blu-ray, but you know, I have Netflix, you know, the higher like HD plan, but like still Blu-ray's better. So anyways, that's what I'm watching.
When I was 18, a long time ago now, I had the idea that you found freedom by building worlds inside your head.
Alright, so I finished watching Apollo 13. I don't really need to talk about that because everybody's seen Apollo 13. I love the movie. It's like a 5 out of 5 movie for me. But after that, I watched the documentary film, and I actually had something recommended to me by Luke, Razor Hour Reviews, and it was Shirkers on Netflix. And basically this is about a group of younger women, I think they're like teenagers around this time, who filmed a movie in Singapore, and they were befriended by somebody who was very wise and taught them a lot about filmmaking and stuff, and he was significantly older, and they basically filmed this entire movie, and then he disappeared with all of the film, all of it. And basically this documentary is talking about that, and then it takes place, it picks up 25 years later, where the girls are all grown up, dealing with the tragic circumstances of their dreams being crushed by this guy, and them finding out the mystery behind what actually happened. It was a pretty amazing documentary. I'm so glad Luke recommended that to me. I recommend it to anybody here that's watching this video. It's on Netflix. Just look up Shirkers. And it's really sad what some people put other people through and how manipulative they could be. Yeah, and so that's my documentary pick. So now I was looking at my list. I've knocked off all the guidelines except one, in a stop motion animated film. So later I'm going to be watching that film, and it's going to be Wes Anderson's Isle of Dogs, which I have never seen. It's one of those, Wes Anderson's one of those filmmakers that I usually always see his films when they come out, and this one I just did not get a chance to go see. And so I'll be watching that this evening, and then I will be done with this challenge. It's been a long couple days. Sometimes I actually think breaking it up like I did is actually more exhausting because I'm dedicating more, like a lot more time. And yeah, I kind of liked doing it this way. Now I know why Luke and some other people have done it this way. And I cannot believe I watched a 6-hour movie as part of this. I wouldn't have been able to do that if I was doing it in 24 hours, because I would have mentally exhausted myself. But anyways, I guess I'll see y'all in a little bit. I did watch an extra movie. Well, Apollo 13 was the extra movie, and then I also watched, before I went to bed last night, I watched half and then finished the rest this morning, For a Few Dollars More by Sergio Leone. And that movie is a movie that I love, that it's just under the bonus, and that is a movie that is filmed in long takes or made to seem like it's one take. That's not necessarily For a Few Dollars More, but Sergio Leone was known for having long takes in his movies, and I've been in a spaghetti western kick the past couple months, and I've actually been watching all of Sergio Leone's movies, so that was the only one I didn't rewatch, and so I put that to it. And I guess while I was watching, I was like, well, technically these aren't really long takes. I was gonna watch a Robert Altman movie or something, but the one that I was gonna pick I didn't have, and it wasn't on any streaming services that I could get for free. I didn't feel like paying, because I paid for like Black Klansmen and stuff, and I didn't feel like spending more money on renting a movie. So, yeah, so I just stuck with For a Few Dollars More, and I love that movie. I think I got a couple clips from that. I'm having to be really good with my camera memory, because I have stuff on the camera that I can't erase, that I need to get on an external hard drive, but I don't feel like doing that right now, so I'm having to film this marathon quicker than I thought, but I'm still doing it pretty much how I usually do it. My wife was going to join me this year, but it just didn't really work out, and it's just kind of, I wanted to be kind of chill with it this year and get through it and have fun with it and stuff like that, and she had to go back to work, so she's been watching some of these movies with me anyways. So anyways, guys, I'll see y'all in the next clip. And it abruptly cuts to this. Hope you guys enjoyed it. I promise you next year, or this year's, is going to be a lot better. But I wanted to make sure I got it out and got all the footage out, so that's all the raw footage up there. Still really proud of it. Forgot I actually watched some of those movies, so it's been nice to kind of revisit it again. Anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching. Have a good one.